I was very, very fortunate that that I was able to meet Mayor Baba while he was still in the body in his physical form. It's important that everybody understand that Baba said many times when I was there, I heard him say it, that I am not the body. Don't mix me up with the body. I'm not the body. I am everywhere in everything, and I am beyond everywhere and beyond everything. But most of all, I am closer to you than your own breath. So what's closer to us than our own breath? It's our very self. And that's what he was trying to make us understand, that there is only one self. That one self plays the role of being behind the bodies and the minds of all persons, and animate, inanimate, everything is one self that's behind the bodies and minds of everything. And that's how he could say that he is everywhere and everything. Well, he wanted us to know that it's all love. Everything is love. God is more concerned and more happy with the love that he has for each and all beings than we can ever imagine. We can love also, we can love our families, we can love our children, we can love, but when you get the love that he's talking about, then you'll know what love really is for everything. Now, Baba did something. When I was there, he asked if anyone had any questions. So no one raised their hand. There was about 15 of us in the room. No one raised their hand. And so Baba asked again. He said, if anyone has any questions, now is the time to ask. Well, again, nobody raised their hand. But I felt that Baba wanted me to ask something. I mean, it was a very strong feeling, but I didn't raise my hand. So Baba turns to me and he says, Irwin, do you have a question? Now I'm thinking, I have one question to ask. It should be the one question that answers all questions. So I sat and I was thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. What is that question that would answer all questions? I can't even think of the question that answers all questions. So I'm taking my good time with this, because now I have the opportunity of asking this. And then so I'm thinking everybody is still, Baba's quiet and still. He's not, there's no impatience in anything. Everybody is waiting and waiting for me to say something, to ask a question. And then it occurs to me what I had read that Baba himself had said when I read it from the book. He said, the one who asks for my love will be the chosen one. So I thought, oh, I just remembered this now. I said, I don't know what divine love is. I never experienced it. I think I'm going to go for that. So I said, Baba, I would like to have all your love. So Baba looks, and he looks at this one and that one in the room, and he says, do you experience my love? Do you have it? No. Do you? No. Do you? Nobody has that love like that. All this love. So he turns to me and he said, why should I give you my love? Why shouldn't I give it to him or to her or this one? Why you? So I said, Baba, I would like you give your love to whomever you want to, but I want to experience it too. So then Baba picks up a jar. There was a little table by his side. He picks up this jar off the table and he puts his arms around it like this. I am the ocean of love. I am everywhere. I am the ocean. And you are in this jar, but there's a lid on it. All you have to do is remove the lid, and the ocean of love that I am, you'll experience it. So I'm thinking, this is Sounds so easy and so simple. But then I thought, well, wait a minute. I'm not experiencing anything right now. All I'm experiencing is Baba telling me this. And just as I was about to say something to Baba, someone else came in the room and the subject changed, everything that changed. There was no opportunity anymore to ask. But I'll tell you what it was. I'll tell you what I had in mind. I was going to say, Baba, I'm on the inside of the jar. You're on the outside. You're free. I'm bound. You have to take it off because I can't do it from the inside. I was going to say this. But the truth of the matter is, it was self-evident. Because as I thought about it later, I said, well, that's why I'm here with Baba. I've come to see Baba so that I can become free, so I can become to know what my real state, my real consciousness is. I'm here for that. And Baba is showing me. That's why I've come. It answered it. That was the answer. Well, all right. What I really wanted to tell you about is Francis Brabazon. Because as I'm sitting there one day, I was there for 2 weeks, as I'm sitting there one day, Baba says, he turns to me and he says, you can ask whatever questions you want now to Francis Brabazon. Now Francis is sitting there too. And Francis was not the type of person that really cared to be answering questions. I wasn't even there wanting to even ask him anything. But now Baba has said this. So we both went outside after our little session with Baba. And we're sitting on the bench, and I'm trying to think of something to ask him, and I do. And I ask him a couple of questions, a few questions, whatever they were. I can't even remember now what they were. In the meantime, and he answers, and we're having this little togetherness by Baba's wish. Little did I know that this was going to be very, very important, what was happening. Because 15 years later, I wanted to go and with my film crew to film Francis at Avatar's Abode, telling his stories about Avatar's Abode and about his being with Mayor Baba. He was a very important person to film. So so I wrote to Francis. This is the story now. So I wrote to Francis saying what I would like to do. I'd like to come and I'd like to film him. I would be filming others as well. He writes back and says, no, don't come. I'm not going to be available for filming. Oh boy, what's the point of going? I mean, he's one of the main persons. Now, so some months go by, and I write to him again, and I said, Francis, we'd like very much, so many people are going to want to hear your stories of what it was like to be with Baba. And we need to come and I want to film that because I'm filming different Baba stories from people. So he writes back again, and he says, no. Don't come. I'm not going to be available. I'm not doing this. Wow. That meant that the point and the big part of the purpose of going was to do this. So I'm thinking, well, what can I do about this? Because he's really not wanting to do this. And then it comes to me. Baba had given me the key to make this happen. 15 years before, when we sat on that bench, and Baba told me to ask him questions. All right, now this time, I write to him again. And some months have gone by, I write to him again and I say, because now I'm going to turn the key, Baba's key, he gave it to me. So I said in my letter, I said, Francis, It is so good that you had all this time with Mayor Baba. We all love to hear your stories. But I want you to tell me if you still think that Baba's order still stands when he told you to answer my questions when I asked him to you on the bench 15 years ago. If you think his order still stands, then I have a lot of questions now and I would like to film you. Now, there was no time to get a reply because the arrangements to travel was, I had already made it, and I made up my mind whether he answers questions or not. It doesn't matter. I'm going to just ask whoever wants to tell their stories. There's so many people in Australia that when Baba had come, that will have things to tell, and if they want to tell it, they're fine. If they don't want to tell it, it'll be okay too. You know, I'm just going to make nobody's going to have to do anything. In the meantime, this letter goes to Francis. Now I arrive, and I have two women that are helping me as part of my film team with the Martha Tillema and Ann Woobs, especially Martha. Boy, did she want to meet Francis. She loved to go to Australia. You know, it was very much part of her desire that she could do this someday, and now the opportunity was there for doing it. So now we arrive, and it's Christmas Day at Avatar's Abode. And all the people, so many people, are coming to celebrate at the Abode, and that had also been there when Baba had come, and could tell the stories about that. But, of course, now Francis is there. So we arrive, and Martha gets out of the car, and we see Francis is standing not far, and she goes over, and Francis greets her so warmly and so nice. And then Ann Woods also goes over, and she greeted very, very warmly by Francis. I said, well, we'll see what happens when I go, because I was after him. So anyhow, I go out, and he is as nice and as, really wonderful as you could ever expect. And the first thing he says to me, he says, if you film, we have to film first in Baba's house. And I'll tell you what happened and how that house was built when we made it. And he says, is that okay? I said, oh yeah, that's really okay. And so it started. And that's what I'm sending to you for the celebration, the film that was taken when we were there at that time. And what Francis had said, this is all on the film. This film has never been shown to anyone so far publicly, and you're going to see it for the first time. And that's and that you will see it. Jai Mayor Baba. I'm sure you have a wonderful celebration. Baba's love and his presence need not be physical, because presence doesn't have to be physical. And he's here with you, and I'm sure many of you are going to feel his love.